with Brian Sandalo from the Sun-Times. Go ahead, Brian.
Hey, Frank. Good afternoon. Thanks for making some time for us. Just wondering, what are the emotions around the end of the season? Is there a sense of relief that a long, difficult season is over and that you guys can get to the business of rebuilding this thing? Or is there a sense of just being, sad and wistfulness that another season of soccer is coming to an end?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's never a good feeling when the season ends, especially when obviously you put so much into it and then there's nothing more to play for. I mean, you set goals in the beginning, and to fall short of that, obviously, it's never a good feeling in the end. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a part where you look at it and you say everything is coming to the end, and there's going to be a lot of free time left without soccer, so that's never easy, on one hand. On the other hand, again, I think about all the players and the team and the guys that have you've been together now for some of them for 2 years. That any way you look at it, this group will never be the same again going forward. So I mean, there's emotions towards that, and I've been here every day, and I've seen the effort and the work that's been put forth from the players since the beginning, and so there's emotions towards that, knowing that the season's coming to an end, not reaching our goals, but also knowing that there's players and some of the guys will go separate ways. So I mean, that's always a kind of a sad feeling, also thinking about that. But in the end, I think that the sport unites us and brings people together from around the world. And like I said, I think for most of us that maybe our playing careers and ability to work together will come to an end, but the friendships we'll build will last a lifetime. And I've told the guys that they will be a part of the Fire family forever. But yeah, there's a lot of different emotions, obviously.
All right, next we'll go to Pat McCraney from SB Nation. Go ahead, Pat.
Hey, Frank, just curious how everybody's doing from an injury standpoint heading into this final game.
Yeah, I mean, look, at this point, you're never going to get everyone feeling, obviously 100%. Everyone's dealing with, little things here and there. But in the end of the day, again, I think that every day, I think for me, at least the training's been sharp with the guys. Its mentality's been really good. And I think that's the most important thing. So, yeah, I think there's bruises and bumps with everyone that they're carrying along of a long season. But look, come Sunday, we'll be ready to go.
Let's go to Jeremy McCullough from the Tribune. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Hi, Frank. Thank you for your time. I guess kind of similar to Brian's question, what is the main takeaway for the Chicago Fire's 2021 season, and what needs to be done in the offseason to kind of get the club back to where you experienced as a player, for example?
Yeah, obviously, I think that right now I'm still focusing on the next game. I think that's the most important thing. And then I think that there has to be a reflection part where all of us have to take a hard look and evaluate and obviously, make decisions, obviously, on players that need to be made. And there's going to be some tough conversations there and some tough decisions. And then it's about getting it right, But I think the most important thing for me is also looking at it and taking a whole part. You can't just think about how we ended the 4 or 5 games in the end, where I felt that the guys, the attitude and the mentality, has been great, and finishing the last game at home with the energy and putting a good performance. I think that's important, but you have to evaluate from start to end, and you can't let emotions be a part of it. You have to, and I never do that. I think as a coach, not as a fan, and you have to make those decisions and evaluate the whole season and evaluate those players and make those tough decisions about moving forward, and then really saying, the additions that you make, and those players, who are they? What kind of who do we want to be? What kind of team do we want to put on the field? And what's the identity? And who are the guys that you're going to bring in here? They're going to present the Fire and this badge the right way. And those the tough conversations you have to have, and then obviously make the right decisions. Make the right decisions on on the coach who's going to come in here and make the right decisions on players, because I think there's you don't want to be again in the same situation. I feel next year. I think that this club is heading in the right direction. It is a big club in a big market, and we need to be next year in a position where we're competing for something. We're in the playoffs, and now we're competing for something. We're competing for championships.
All right, we'll go to Larry Hawley from WGN. Go ahead, Larry.
Hi, Frank. I'm curious, what has stood out to you about Gabriel Slonina this year? Maybe the way he's carried himself both on and off the field, coming in at such a young age and making such a big contribution to the club right away.
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. He's a very mature young man. He's 17, but he's mature beyond his years, I would say. So that's been really impressive to me. I had no doubt about his quality. That's never been a doubt. You'd see him in training every day, and he'd make saves, and you'd have to look again, because the things that he does, sometimes you kind of shake your head, but then he does the stuff almost every day. But it's just his maturity level, the way he carries himself, his work ethic. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's got a good support system, and I think for me, for a young man, is that the future is so bright for him. But he has to understand he has to continue to work and stuff like that. And now he's come in a situation where obviously there really isn't much pressure on him, and it's been great to give him the games that he needs and to give him the confidence. But it's going to be a whole different role for him next year if he's competing and he's a number one guy going into it. The expectations will be very high, but I kind of feel that he's very mature and he can handle that kind of pressure. And for a young man, for me, it's something that's really stood out for him, because in the position that he plays, you get one opportunity. If you get it wrong at times, everyone looks at you. When you're a player in the field, you might get 10 wrong, and then the next one you put the ball in the back of the net or you make a great play, and everyone's clapping. So his ability to handle those emotions and that kind of pressure, it's been really impressive, and the future is really bright for him.
All right, just remember to hit the raise hand icon if you'd like to ask a question. Next, we'll go to Justin Wasik from Second City Soccer, and then we'll go back to Brian Sandoval. Go ahead, Justin.
Thanks, Jamie. Hi, Frank. Good afternoon. You've been with this club in some capacity for a long time, and obviously in a coaching capacity this season. So I'm interested in your perspective as you guys approach the end of the season this weekend. What are some things that you've seen throughout this season that have given you hope for the club's future moving forward? And then on the flip side, what are some things that you think are necessary to fix in order for this club to succeed long term?
Look, I think this, like I said, I think in the end of the season, I have to really reflect. I mean, I reflect daily and after every game, but I think there has to be a hard look back and evaluate everything. I mean, just in my mind, just thinking of it, but this could be the same case. I'm sure that every team that doesn't make the playoffs, they look back, and then I can tell you there were, many games where I felt that, we played well enough to get results. I never felt that there were games where we totally got outplayed and stuff like that. So, that's the one thing. That's the one thing. I think the way we finished the season in a positive way, and I mean, for me, that's another thing, which is a positive. Some of the younger players that have stepped up is also a positive, But I think looking forward, I think that when I look at the team, is that how can we be in both ends of the field defensively, defend better as a team, and then obviously be more dangerous in the final third. That's the one thing. And is it guys stepping up and performing and finishing their chances better, having more of a killer mentality? Is now some changes need to be made? Is the personnel that does come in is how do they impact the team and how do they make a difference in the final third? And so for me, there's exciting things when I look at the season. Obviously there've been some good moments. There've been good moments with some of the younger players going forward. But at the end of the day, when you don't make the playoffs, there's disappointment. I mean, you didn't reach our goals, So in the end of it, you got to look at everything as a whole, and we need to all improve in all aspects. And that's the one thing. It's a little bit all over the map a little bit, but I think there's got to be a hard reflection in the end and look, how do we improve the team defensively? How do we improve the team in the final third? And then, take a hard look at everything. How do we improve everything else around us as a club? How do we maintain, high standards all around? And that's the thing. The only thing I can tell you is that we have a great owner. This team in the past, when you compared where the club was with other teams in many different ways, we were here. Now the gap is a lot smaller, but the little piece has to get better. But we have an owner that's very supportive, has done everything that's possible for us to be successful on the field, and is going to continue to do that. We just got to get all those decisions that we make right going forward now.
Pat McCraney?
Hey, Frank, I know in addition to your duties with the Fire this season, you've been going through the U.S. Soccer Pro coaching course. What has that been like? What have you learned from that process? And had that made you rethink anything you did in the past, the ways you go about things?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you get older, you think back, and I said, well, I wish I could have been back 5 years ago. I would have done things differently. No, the course for me, it's always about trying to improve and improve and get better. When they first offered the pro course in 2015, I was going to take it, but I wasn't working as a coach. I had just left Montreal, and I was back in Chicago. So I wasn't able to do it back then because you needed to be coaching. So this year last year they sent me again an invitation, and again, as a coach, as a person, you're always looking to improve. You can never stop. The game is moving forward. There's new trends into the game, and I just felt I wanted to do that. I wanted to get the highest license in the country that they offered, and so the course has been great. I think the ability to connect with other colleagues. It's a very small group of coaches. It hasn't been easy, obviously, in difficult situations with COVID and stuff like that. Thank God to technology and the ability to, with Zoom calls and stuff like that. But it's been really great. I have a great mentor who's from Holland. So it's been great for him coming here, watching training sessions and spending time. So that part has been really excellent. Just the best part about it, I think, is just spending time with different colleagues and speaking to them and getting insight how they've dealt in different situations, how they've managed in different situations. And let's not forget, we've started with a certain group of guys that, in a tough season, some guys are no longer coaches. They've been fired. So, seeing how they've dealt with those emotions, I think those are all great experiences that you can learn from others. So it's been great for me. And always in my career, I've always looked to improve, even when I wasn't able to do this pro course. My ability to travel overseas and visit friends who are coaching in different countries and spend time with different coaches and watch different games. I never stop. I love the game, and every opportunity I get to look to improve, to have an opportunity and an option to improve, I take it.
All right, we'll take one more from Brian Sandalo. Go ahead, Brian.
Sure. Hey, Frank, just wondering, what qualities do you think the next head coach of this team should have?
That's a tough one. I think I need a lot more. I think we have the right people, the sporting directors. They're looking at some talented people. I have my own views, but I'll just keep it my own views right now, But from the names that I've heard, I'm actually excited. I'm excited from all of them, but obviously I'm not going to give anything away right now, but I think there's some good candidates. I like the fact that they're looking with people I believe that have an experience and they know the league, and I think that's the one thing I would say that's important, and I think it's important. I would say to me also. So I will leave that up to them. I will keep that info at a different time.
Perfect. Thanks, Frank. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Go ahead, Pat.
Hey, Mauri, thanks for doing this for us. You've been at this for a couple of years now at the pro level. What's the biggest thing that you'd say you've learned in those 2 years?
I think there's learned a lot in these 2 years. I think there's a lot to take away from my first 2 years as a professional. I think on the basic level, I think I've learned from a lot of the older guys that are here, like Francisco, Bobby. Having them in the back with me has been super helpful, and getting to know the league and just learning what the league is about and what it takes to be successful in it. So I'm glad to have those guys around me to help me out, and hopefully we can learn from these 2 years and keep pushing forward.
Go next to Jeremy McCullough. Go ahead, Jeremy.
And Mauricio, thanks for your time. From a player's perspective, what is the main takeaway for the Chicago Fire's 2021 season, and what do you guys need to do in the offseason to kind of get back to where the level the club used to be at its early history?
I would say a positive takeaway is that we have guys that never really gave up. I know it's been a difficult season for all the guys, for the staff, and all the way through the end, we've kept pushing. I think there's a lot to take from that, and there's a lot to work with that. Obviously, we're far from where we want to be, but I think if we have guys that want to work, that want to keep trying to improve and make this team better, I think that's something that the fans can appreciate, and hopefully we can get back to the city, to the club, with better results in the future.
Brian Sandalo.
Hey, Maury, thanks for making some time for us both today and over the course of the season. We do all appreciate it. Just from last year to this year, there was a lot of continuity, of course, with the playing roster and also coaching. But next season, you guys are going to have a new coach, and the roster could turn over a lot between now and next season. What are your thoughts going into an off season that you're going to be here, but a lot of your teammates might not be? What are your thoughts going into an off season that could be very busy for the club?
Yeah, I think it's always difficult when there's a busy off season, a change in staff, a change in player roster. So I think the most important thing going into next year is to try to get everyone on the same page, everyone stepping in the right direction, in the same direction. So hopefully we can do that and figure that out as soon as possible going into preseason.
Larry Holly.
Hey, Mauricio, I wanted to ask you about Gabriel Slonina. What has stood out to you about the way he kind of handles himself both on and off the field, and what he's been able to do to have such success so quickly in his MLS career?
I think the one thing that stands out is that he's a professional. He's always ready. He comes in early. He leaves last. Even when he wasn't seeing a minute on the field, he was always the first one here. Always prepared for when his name was called. So I think that showed it exactly what he does in his preparation. And he's brave. When he stepped on the field, he was courageous. He showed what he was about. So I think that's excellent to see from someone that's 17 years old. So yeah, he's been outstanding.
All right. Unfortunately, guys, I think we're going to have to end it there. I don't know if you guys can hear the sirens in the background, but it seems like there's a state fire drill taking place. So we're going to need everyone just to get out of the building for the time being. So Mauricio, we'll let you go. Apologies, everyone, that we had to cut this short, but appreciate you joining us today. And we'll speak to you guys on Sunday for the game.